All right. So a couple of you, uh, so good job on what you did today, last week, and we're gonna kind of expand upon some of those images today. Um, and I'll have you turn one in. Um, I guess I wanted to ask. There was a few of you that are using Lightroom Mobile. Um, is there a possibility that you can get Lightroom CC on your computer? Or Lightroom Classic. I'm sorry, Lightroom Classic. Um, um, yeah. Any one of you that use Lightroom Mobile? Lightroom Mobile is fine. It's not the end of the world, but I'm not so familiar with Lightroom Mobile, and I'm wondering if some of the concepts that I'm going to go through today are even possible with Lightroom Mobile. So I'm hoping, I didn't. Nobody told me that they didn't have a home computer, so I'm wondering if you have, if you're able to download the Lightroom Classic app, because you get it for free right now, and I would really take advantage of it because it's much more powerful than Lightroom Mobile. That's not to say you can't take your photos through through Lightroom Mobile or through your phone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if we can sort of deal with the images and work on the images through Lightroom Classic. There's two different versions, I guess I'm telling you, of Lightroom. So we're using Lightroom Classic in this class. But if you're unable to use Lightroom Classic, let me know. Or if it's just that you didn't realize there was two different programs.
Yeah, because when I got it on my computer,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like the same one from when I got it on my phone.
Yeah, so that's Lightroom Mobile. Go back to the Adobe, however you downloaded it, and look, and the Lightroom Classic should exist on there, and you should be able to download Lightroom Classic.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other person, I forget who it was, but the other person that used Lightroom Mobile, do you have a computer that you can put Lightroom Classic on?
Yeah, I could use a Lightroom Classic.
Okay, Lorenzo. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, use Lightroom Classic because there's one main function that I'm going to go over today that I don't know. It could be possible through Lightroom Mobile. I just don't know. But Lightroom Classic, using Lightroom Classic, if you can, as you sort of progress your way through this program, is going to be essential. Um, One of you that are in Photo 9, who's in Photo 9?
Him.
Oh, Anthony.
And then I think Jeffrey was as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
Jeffrey.
am.
Which class are you guys in? Who's the teacher?
Luis.
Luis?
And
My
Meher.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you guys obviously are using Lightroom Classic, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it would be, it would be in your best, using Lightroom Mobile for with your cell phone. That's fine. Like, especially like the camera app part of it. That's totally great. And you can sync up the Lightroom Mobile with the Lightroom Classic, so you don't even have to go through the steps of downloading your images. I don't know those steps. Maybe maybe one of you can kind of figure that out and let us all know by next week. Tomasa or Lorenzo, can one of you do that for us?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that would be great. Just maybe I'll make, give you some extra credit if you could just sort of walk us through how to sync up your Lightroom Mobile with your Lightroom Classic after you do it.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, or both of you. That would be great if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get started. So those of you who did use Lightroom Classic, how was the experience? I mean, I guess two of you have probably already been using Lightroom, so maybe okay, and then yeah, Paulina, we have to talk later. So I guess Thomas, you have you have used Lightroom, obviously, right?
Yeah, I took photo 9.
Okay. Okay. Sweet. Then we'll just recheck. I'll recheck with you all next week about how the process went. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna, we never even got a chance to do this in the darkroom, which is a little strange. But we're gonna try it now. Okay. So let me find my Lightroom here. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So right here I started up Lightroom and here, I have a bunch of scans, high res scans or whatever, but I want to, last week I created a whole photo 10 catalog. Remember the catalog where all the sort of information is recorded and the thumbnail previews are created? I want to go back to that same catalog. So this is a different catalog. This is like my personal work catalog. So what I'm going to do is there's a couple ways to open up your another catalog, but for today, I'm just going to go File and Open Recent, and I can find Lightroom Intro. That was the name of the catalog that I created for this course. Okay. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to ask to relaunch Lightroom if that's okay, which is totally fine. So essentially it closes it down, and then it's going to open back up in just a second. Okay. So and there it is. Okay, so these are the images from last week that I used. Okay, do you guys all remember this?
Yes.
The images. Okay, so I don't have to re-go.
You showed very few though, like maybe 5 at the max. And
Okay, I mean the photos or whatever. They're just a job that I got, documenting this performance before the performance art thing before the shutdown. So that, this is not necessarily my work. It's just some photos that I got paid to take, but I had them readily available right there. So what I want to do now today, and I want you all to do this by the end of the weekend. I'd prefer that you do it as soon as we're done, with this demo. That way I can be available for questions. But what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna double click this so I can go back to the beginning. And how many images are there? There's 147 images here. Okay, how many rolls of film is 147 images? Let's see, 147 divided by 36. That's 4 rolls of film that I shot. Okay, there's a lot more. This is just the edit. So let's say that I want to get this down to 36. Okay, and I'm going to create a contact sheet of those 36 images. Let's do some better. Let's do 12. Let's get it down to 12. Okay, so what you do is, before I even make any kind of exposure adjustments or anything like that, Lightroom, think of Lightroom as a way that, it's called a file management software. So think of it as a way to manage a large number of files. I probably shot somewhere around 500 images of this performance, and I edited it down to 147, okay? And the reason it's, to me, 147 is still a lot. It's way too much. But what it is that because it's a performance and there's so many different performers, there's 40 different performers, I kind of have a lot, and I just do a little bit of each performer and send it off. And because it's a job, they can just do whatever they want with the images. But for something like this assignment, right? For something like this assignment, what was the assignment again? Oh, shooting different light sources. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So for something like this, I told you a minimum of 36 images because that's the equivalent of a roll of film. But, on a contact sheet in Lightroom, I want 12 images. Okay, so how do we manage that? How do we sort of, how do we, you know, how do we get it down to 12? And I'll show you. The way we do it is you have a way of rating your photographs. Okay, you'll see right here these 5 stars. Do you all see that? Maybe you can give me a thumbs up on the
Yeah.
thing. Okay, yeah. So you have these stars here. Okay, and what I do is I use the arrow keys on my keyboard to toggle back and forth through images, and I have my other hand on the 1. Okay, and I'll look at it and I'll decide if this is a good photo or if it's a bad photo, or if, you know, if it's sort of working. Okay, and we can do multiple rounds of this. So let's say, do we like this? This photo is kind of nice, right? It tells, it's kind of giving us a narrative, a story. The director is talking to her performers, right?
Right.
So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to keep this. So I hit the 1 on my keyboard, and you'll see it said set rating to 1, and you'll see now there's a 1 star right there on the file, right?
Right.
So then let's move on to another one. Let's decide 1 or, you know, do we want it or not? Yeah, let's say 1, yes. This one, it's not working for me. So I don't give it a rating, okay? This one, yeah, sure, it's kind of cool, it's kind of dramatic, right? I'll hit 1
Yeah.
again, but it's a kind of, I'm not sold on that, okay? The exposure's a little dark, you know, she wasn't in the spotlight, so maybe we'll move on to this one. This one seems like it's more dramatic, it's nicer, okay? Again, I like this one, okay? Oh, I love the sort of motion and drama of this one. Not so much, right? Not working for me, a little far away. I like the composition. Okay, so this is about how quickly I make sort of my decisions, right? And if I kind of like it, I'll give it a 1. The only time I don't is like an absolutely, like this one, absolutely not for me. Okay, so we'll move on. This one, absolutely not. It's, you know, and what we're doing in this, like it could be much more dramatic. This one's kind of cool, strange. Just keep going, kind of cool. Okay. So I'm gonna just keep like going. All right, maybe that one is really rad. Okay, maybe I give it a 1 and I just change my mind. Any guesses on how to take that 1 rating away? Push 0.
Okay.
Zero.
Push 0 and it'll set the rating back. It'll take the rating off. Okay. So we're gonna keep going. Sorry, I'm just kind of breezing through these. Okay, I'm not gonna go through 147 images, but let's say I've gone through all my images at this point, okay? And I've decided on my ones that I really like and ones that are maybes, okay? But I need to get it down to 12. So what happens is, if I come down here to where it says filter, you guys see that at the bottom right? Click filters off, okay, and go to rated. Now watch what happens. It got rid of all the other images, and now now I'm only displaying 29 out of 147 images. Way easier to manage, right?
Right.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, and this time I'm gonna do a 2-star rating for the ones that I really like, and then those ones, I know I gotta get rid of them. Okay, so let's go back through it. I'm gonna keep that. This one is an so I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it out. I like that one, just dramatic. No, maybe, yeah. I like that one. No. Sure. No, yeah. Photos of kids are always good, right? I like that one. I like this one. I like this one. That one's pretty cool with the light. That one's pretty cool. It's kind of far away. That one's pretty cool. This one's cool. No. Okay, so I've gone through to those 29 images and I've made a 2-star rating, right? So now you'll see right next to rated, you'll see the 1-star is highlighted or activated. Go to the 2nd star and click it, and now it got rid of all the 1-stars, and now it's only displaying, look, you see it right there, greater than 2 stars, greater or equal to 2 stars. Does that make sense? So it's displaying any images greater or equal to 2 stars. Now, okay, now I'm looking, now I can see that it's displaying 14 out of 147 images. How many did I say?
14.
Yeah, there's 14 here, but how many do I want on my contact sheet?
Oh, 12.
12 is my magic number, right? Okay, so we need to go back through it a 3rd time. So what do you think I'm gonna push this time?
3.
3. You could either push 3, or what's the other? Anybody have a guess on what the other option might be?
5.
5 will work, sure, of course, if you want to give it a 5-star. But also what could work is, because we've already advanced to a 2-star, if I find 2 images that I decide, nah, I can just make them 1-stars and it'll get rid of them. And it's not deleting,
nice.
it's not deleting, it's not throwing anything in the trash or anything like that. It's just hiding the rest of the 147 images, right? It's just filtering out the ones that we want to deal with now, because, you know, like I said, there's probably over 500 images here. So the first thing I do, import those images. I sit down here, go through them, 1-star or no, 1-star or no, 1-star or no, right? Get them down, then go back through it and try to really whittle it down. And I'll usually have a number in mind. Okay, I'm trying to get it down to 12 images. Well, man, getting 500 images right now down to 12 images is not bad, right? So let's just push a 1-star and get rid of the last 2. So you guys tell me. Now, another cool thing about Lightroom that, you know, I always find useful is F. Just the letter F on my keyboard and it goes full screen. Can you all see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't see you all anymore. Okay, so we're either gonna say yay or nay. We need to get rid of 2. Okay, so I think this one's still good, right?
Yeah.
Tells the
Yeah.
story.
Tells the story.
There's that one. Do we like this one? It's sort of dramatic, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what about this one?
Yeah, there's a cool
I
movement
like it.
there.
Okay, this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what about this one? Okay, let's go back through. We'll go through them all and then we'll come back. And there's this one, this one, this one, this one,
That's cool.
this one, this one, or this one, or this one. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning. Okay.
I don't like that one.
You like this one?
No, the one.
The one
previous.
before.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get rid of this one. So I push 1 and it just gets rid of it. I've kind of felt like this, one of these last ones, this one probably.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then I like that there's this ballerina in the dark.
Yeah, I do too, but I feel like it's not quite right. Compositionally, it's not quite right.
Right.
The little, you know, like the stage looks a little wonky. It's just not. It could be better. So I'm gonna get it down to 1. Okay. All right. Now I've got 12 images. Okay. Now I got my magic number. Okay. So when you're all working on these images, on your images today, what I'm expecting is a contact sheet of 12 images, and I'll show you how to make a contact sheet. So here I got my 12 images, okay? So now on my keyboard, I'm gonna hit Command A, which is select all. Now, I don't know if some of you are working on a PC, I don't know what the key command is for that. But also on a Mac, you can select the last one and go to the first one, hold down Shift and click, and it'll select all the images in between. Okay. So those of you on a PC, you're gonna have to figure out how to select all. I don't know. Does anybody know off the top of their head? My PC.
Same thing, Control A.
Control A.
But you
Lorenzo, is
gotta
that what you're
kind
gonna
of,
say?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Control
Okay.
A.
So it looks like Control A. So I'm gonna select all my images. Okay. Now, I need to sort of get you guys out of here. Now, remember we have these different tabs up here that we use in this class. I said we only use library, develop, and print. Well, we're going to use print today. Okay. Obviously, we're not making prints, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to come over here to print. Okay. Now, it's going to give me this sort of dialog box up here at the top, and you'll see. I think. Okay, so you'll see that we have this dialog box. We have these settings over here to the right. Okay, so we need to kind of start from the top and work our way down, setting the settings on this to create a contact sheet, and I'll show you what that is in a second. So rotate. First thing I do, I don't like to rotate to fit to stay on. I like it to keep its orientation the way it was. Okay. Now you'll see it's one image on one page, right? That's kind of that's not a contact sheet. What we need to drop down to is page grid, and you'll see what happens. So if there's 12 images, I'm gonna make 4 rows and 3 columns. Okay, that'll equal 12. So 4 rows and 3 columns. Voila. Now all 12 images are on one page. So when we were at school and we could, what would happen is we would essentially export what this page looks like right here out, and you would go to one of those printers in the back and we would print that out. And then you'd come up and show me the contact sheet, and we would discuss the contact sheet and what we're, how we feel about certain images, what we like, what we're not liking, or whatever. And we would then from there pick out our favorite one and work on our favorite file, and then make a print of the favorite file. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But since we can't sort of do that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a contact sheet, and then you all are going to submit the contact sheet. Okay. And it's at this point after today, every assignment will require a contact sheet of 12 images and the final file that you've worked on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So does everybody see how that page grid worked?
Yes.
Yes.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. Okay. Now there's more settings that we can set that, that make it a little better for myself. Cell spacing, there's no space between each cell, right? So, you could use a slider and just kind of eyeball it, right? And give each image a little space if you like, or you can type in some numbers. Cell size, I would just make the cell size as large as possible. The margins I wouldn't really mess with, just go ahead and leave it the way it is, okay? But what I do want to come over here is to guides, show guides. I don't really care for these black lines, okay? So if I uncheck that, it gets rid of the black lines. That's your preference. If you like the black lines, if it helps you sort of differentiate or anything like that, or give you some more formal structure, then that's fine. But for myself, I don't care. I don't need them. I take them off. Okay. And we continue to move our way down. Page background color. You can give a color to the background, I guess, is fine if you want, but I prefer not. Just white is good for me. But you could give it an identity plate if you want. Again, that's your call. I don't care much for it. I mean, maybe let's put an identity plate so I can differentiate whose files is whose. What do you think? You guys want an identity plate on it, or would you rather it clean?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so let's put identity plate. Put your name on there. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
And then don't worry about watermarking. I don't really care about that. But what I do care about, you know, page options. If there, you know, if there was more than 12, let's say there was 36, and you wanted 12 on a page, you'd have 3 pages of contact sheet. You'll see page 1 of 1, right? So if you had 3 pages, you could add page numbers to the contact sheets or whatever. But in this instance, for this class, I'm just requiring 12. You have to shoot a minimum, always a minimum of 36 per assignment, because that's a roll of film, but 12 that you make a contact sheet of, okay?
All right.
But what I do like, what I do find important, and I'll show you why later, is photo info. Turn on photo info and make sure it says file name. With file name underneath it, now when you and I talk about your images, right? When we talk about, oh, I really like 4552, right? That makes it easier than, oh, that picture of that person talking to the cast, right? You're like, which picture, what? But if you're very specific about the number, then I'll show you later, easy way of locating that image, okay? So photo info is what I do require. Photo info and I guess the identity plate we decided is important, okay? All right, let's move down further. Font size, obviously you can change the font size of the file name. Make it teeny tiny if that's your jam. 10 is fine for me. And then this part becomes really important, okay? Right here where it says print to, and see where it says printer? Click that and you want to make it a JPEG file. Okay? This will generate this as a JPEG image, which is what we want, okay? Resolution, 300 DPI. Now, 300 DPI is what I would require normally because we print on the printer and we want most resolution possible. But since you're turning this in, that's probably an unnecessary size. We'll see. We'll see. Let's just see how, I'm gonna leave it at 300 PPI and we'll see how large it ends up exporting it as, okay? Print sharpening it's just gonna throw a little bit of sharpening over your image. You can leave it on, you can take it off. You're not really gonna see much of it. JPEG quality, obviously keep it at the highest possible. You want the highest possible quality. And then right here, profile. There's all these different sort of color profiles possible, but since we're in a remote digital format, I want you to just leave it as sRGB, okay? Go ahead and leave it at perceptual. It should just revert to that, okay? Print adjustment, you can add a little contrast or brightness, exposure if you wanted right here, but I wouldn't say to do that. Don't worry about that, okay? So then the last step is to print to file, okay? Now, if I didn't have, by the way, if I didn't have all my photos selected, if I only had one selected, then it's only gonna put one on the page, right? So that's why we have to make sure that all photos are selected, okay? So I'm gonna come back here, print to file, click that. Now, it's gonna ask, this dialog box comes up and it's asking me where I wanna save this file to. Now, I have a folder on my desktop, remember? Photo 10, and inside Photo 10, these were the raw files, right, that I shot, right? This LR intro, that's where the catalog is, remember? Lightroom interface, oh, that's your file. So anyways, here within this folder, I'm gonna save this new JPEG, okay? But I like to be, I like to be I like to get a little specific with my folders because I am not necessarily the most organized person. So I sort of overcompensate in my organization when I'm sort of laying these things out. So what that means is I'll come here to new folder, right? And I'll name this folder print, create, and now you'll see there's a new folder inside this Photo 10 folder. There's a new folder called print. And right here, I'll just name it contact sheet, okay? I'll hit save. And now you saw the progress bar up there. Now it's created. Now let's go over here. Let's find that on my desktop. Okay, here. On my desktop, I have photo 10 that's photo 24. Photo 10, where are you? Is it hiding behind this menu bar? Oh, right here, photo 10, right in my face. Okay, photo 10. Okay, I double click that folder, I open it up, I come down here to the bottom. There's print. I'm just gonna highlight it, and just to make sure that everything looks good, I'm gonna hit the space bar, and voila, there it is. Okay, and it's actually only a 2.8 megabyte file, so leaving it at 300 DPI for the resolution is perfectly fine. Okay, so what you would do from here is, I want you all to submit your contact sheet. Submit your contact sheet to me through Canvas, and when you submit your contact sheet, we can look at it together and sort of figure out what we're liking or disliking about your images. Okay, so that's how you make a contact sheet. Is there any questions?
Are you gonna be posting this after class so we could?
Yeah, I always post the videos from the class. I forgot last week, but last week's is up now.
Okay.
Yeah, always.
I was looking for the Lightroom Classic, but the only one they give me is like the free trial. Do I just take that one?
Well, if you download it, so what happens is because you know about your free Adobe for 2 months, right? Everybody?
Yeah.
Somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Can somebody explain to Tomasa? Because I don't know how that works. Did you all have to, what did you have to do? Use your Mount Sac email to create an Adobe account?
Yeah, I just used my Mount Sac email, and then it was already linked up to the Adobe account, so it was pretty easy.
So Tomasa, use your Mount Sac email to sort of register, and you should get Adobe Lightroom, not the free trial, but you should get it Adobe free access to Adobe Suite for a couple months.
Yeah, because that was the email I used to log in here, and the only one they provided was the Lightroom Mobile. But they're giving me like the option to get like Lightroom Classic. But
Yeah, so use
that includes
Lightroom
the free
Classic.
trial.
Well, use it, download it, and then log in with your Mount Sac credentials, and it'll, sorry, I can't really, I don't really want to get too far into doing the IT stuff. But it sounds like it should be pretty easy and straightforward. So if you have to, let me know, I guess, if you're still having issues. But my assumption is you just use your Mount Sac credentials to log in, and you should have access for a couple months.
Okay.
Okay, it should be good. You should be able to figure it out. If not, I mean, download the trial and then we'll go from there. But just get it going. Real quick, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. One second here. Let me see. So how did we do the assignment? We did it. Did I not give it a title? Lightroom alternative lighting, right? Submit the screenshots to shoot me 36 images. Okay, so let me do this assignment. Contact sheet. I'll edit the assignment in a second. Submission, let's do online file upload. Okay, so So we'll be to 19. Sorry, y'all. Okay, can you all go to your Canvas real quick? And go to assignments, and let's make sure that you see a contact sheet assignment.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Okay. So what I want you all to do today is I want you to go through your 36 images, your 36 plus images that you did in Lightroom, or that you shot and then submitted the screenshot to me in Lightroom. And I want you to go through, and I want you to edit down into 12 images, and I want you to create a contact sheet, and I want you to submit that contact sheet to me submit it to me. Don't go through discussions or anything, but just keep it on that assignment page. And I restricted the file format to JPEGs only. So if you're unable to submit it, then it could possibly be that for whatever reason your file is not a JPEG, right? It's something else. So you make sure that it's a JPEG, and I want you to submit that to me, and then we'll be able to go from there. I'm gonna press on with some more demoing right now, but just know that I'm requiring a contact sheet as a class assignment, meaning it's got to be turned in by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And Paulina, stick around, okay? So we can talk about it after.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go. I'm gonna continue on. So let's come over here to my print folder, contact. I'm going to highlight contact sheet. I'm going to open here. I'm going to open it up in Photoshop. Okay. Tomasa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Do you mind? Would you mind sort of picking your favorite file, your favorite image from here, and then we'll work on it. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of scroll through them here. I'll zoom in even more. All right. Did you have a favorite?
Yeah, I like the guy with the paper.
Okay, guy with the paper. Okay, so there it is. That's your favorite image. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna locate this file in Lightroom, and we're gonna go into the develop module and start making some exposure adjustments. Okay, so remember how I said I like when the file name of the file is in the contact sheet, is because now I know 4670. Okay, so remember that number, 4670. Okay, so I'm
Got
gonna
it.
come back over here to Lightroom, maybe 4670. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to my library tab. Okay, now obviously because I only have 12 images, I know it's right there. Easy enough. Okay, but let's say it's later. You've already closed your Lightroom, you turned it back on, blah blah blah. Filters are off. You know, and you have all your images here. And we need to find, and let's say there's a ton more. Let's say there's I don't know, the 500 images, and we need to find image 4670. Okay, what you can do from here is hit Command F on your keyboard. Maybe, come on, Command F, and then you'll see this search bar comes up. Now all you have to do is type in 4670, and boom, it finds file 4670 for you. Now I highlight I expand 4670, and now I know I can make some adjustments. Okay? Does that make
Okay.
sense to everybody?
Yeah, it does.
But I'm trying to figure out how to do that, to find that search bar with PC.
Let's see. View. So if you go to view, let's see, show filter bar. That's weird. View, show filter bar. Oh, hide. Okay, that's how you get rid of it. Try, do you have like a command button?
I figured it out. It's in window. It's Control Alt F.
Control Alt F. Okay, cool. Good to know. So PC users
Maybe.
control. Oh. Well, I
Sorry,
mean,
I got to switch between the two programs so that I could talk to you. Hold on. I'm trying to figure it out.
well,
But I'll
here,
let you know.
but before you do that, Anthony, let's do this. Look, if you just come up here to view, you can show the filter bar. Okay, and when you show the filter bar, it just does the same thing. I just sometimes I forget that because I've memorized so many key commands that I just do it and I don't even know where some of the buttons are. But basically, view, show filter bar, and you'll be able to find your image that way. Okay, but yeah, it would be good to know at the end maybe what the method of what am I trying to say? How to use key commands on the PC. Okay, so let's move on over here to develop. Now develop, a lot of this like language and verbiage is derived from analog photography. So this is like developing your film. Okay, you've shot your raw image and now we're developing it. Okay, so by develop, you're all obviously all sort of seen some sliders before. Everybody's phone has different kinds of sliders that do different things. So, today we're going to kind of go through some of these. Okay, not all of them. There's a million, right? And I don't want to go too far with it because I don't want to confuse you guys. But there's some that are just really sort of important and you'll use them. So what I like to do is first off, I'll come over here to the white balance right here. Okay. Now, this was shot as a raw file initially, and these are the JPEGs that I submitted. So that's why when I click here as shot, you only have auto or custom. If you shoot a raw file, you'll have a ton of different options here. Okay. So what that is that this is affecting the color of the image. Now, like I said, I've already sort of worked on this a little bit beforehand, but one way of sort of figuring out the color, you could use one of the presets. I can hit auto and I can let Lightroom decide for me what the color should be, but Lightroom doesn't know that this is the performance on the stage. So, that doesn't look right. That's way too cool. It's, that floor is like a rich wood color, and now it looks like almost like bleached out wood, right? So that's not working for me. So what I'm going to do is keep it as shot. You can come up here, and this is an eyedropper, okay? And if you want, you can always select the eyedropper. And the way the eyedropper works is if you have like sort of a neutral color, like a neutral gray, like this paper is white paper, but it's really actually should be coming out as gray. Now look up here, up in the left corner of my Lightroom window, and you'll see in the navigator, you'll see the different color balance changes, right? While I sort of hover over different areas. Does everybody see how it's changing?
Yes, I see.
Okay, so hover over this neutral area and I see, man, that floor is starting to look rich and nice, right? So I'm gonna then click it, okay? And now it changed my color temperature to make this area that I clicked a neutral is what happened, okay? Now it's a little strange still, skin tone is a little strange, but it's stage lighting. So it should be a little bit strange, but maybe it's a little too yellow. So now I use that as sort of a jumping off point. Now I come over here to my temperature. I'll even highlight, you can use a slider, right? You can use a slider and move it around. right? It was what, 5? You can use a slider, or what I like to do sometimes when I'm getting pretty close is I'll just highlight that number and use the arrows and nudge it, right? I'm just nudging it so that it's less cool. I'm sorry, less warm, so it's cooler. Okay, so somewhere like that, that's better for me. The skin tone looks a little better. Still kind of has the feeling of stage light, but it's not so, it's not so yellow. It's not so warm. Okay, and maybe we'll say like, maybe it feels like there's a little bit of green in here. So I'll highlight this and I'll use my arrows and I'll kind of nudge the magenta up just a little bit, not too much, but something like that. Did everybody see that?
Yes, and that was
Okay.
awesome.
Cool. So then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to the next window. Okay. And this is, when we first start off with Lightroom, this is kind of the furthest I like to take everybody. I like to just do color and then exposure. Okay. So now you can use the auto button again. Sometimes I'll hit the auto button and just see what Lightroom does. Wow. That's not a good look for me. I don't like that at all, okay? But it sort of gives you an idea of what's in this photograph, right? I like this sort of dramatic, performer being popped out from the background the way he was. So I don't like that. So on my keyboard, I backstep it, Command Z, backstep it. That looks way better, okay? And so now I kind of have an idea of what's there, and now I can sort of use my exposure. I can open it up if I want. I don't really like that. In fact, I might even just open it up just slightly. You'll see that's plus 0.15 of a stop. That's not a lot. Contrast, I can move it upward and make it contrasty. I would say, I always fight with Photo 10 students about contrast, okay? Use it, don't crank up the contrast on your photos because because it looks cool. I feel like that's a mistake a lot of young photographers make, is trying to make your images too loud or too contrasty or too, whatever. This photograph is sort of nice the way it is. The light was already contrasty to begin with. So adding more contrast is just really getting rid of more detail, and it just does not look so hot. So even adding contrast, I might even, reduce contrast a little bit, right? That to me looks a little better. And now I'm going to drop down in here into highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks, and I can pull up the highlights, and I can pull down the highlights, right? You see what's happening. Yeah.
So contrast is kind of destructive in that it clips information, correct?
Yeah, so any adjustment that you make is actually scraping away information. That's the nature of it.
Okay.
Any adjustment scrapes away information. But yes, the more you increase contrast, the less detail you have in your highlights and your shadows. That's what contrast does. It essentially, it's alleviating midtones. So high contrast means you've alleviated a lot of midtones. Low contrast means that you've maintained a lot of midtones or brought more midtones back in. Okay.
Okay.
But you want to be cognizant of your lighting and how your lighting was, because you could have contrasty lighting, which this is contrasty lighting. So adding more contrast to contrasty lighting is just getting rid of more detail. And in the long run, I don't really think it's going to do you any good to crank up the contrast. And we will probably argue, some of you, with me about contrast, and also the print wise, it's really easy to tell. So we'll see how it works out virtually. But yeah, contrast is a big source of, like, whoa, man, calm down. And also, like, we live in a culture, like advertising culture, our phones are contrasty just in the display, right? Advertisements are made to be contrasty so that it catches your eye, so sort of unlearning that is good, I feel like, because then you start getting into this other world where you're more sensitive to to these ideas and visual sort of structures. So highlights, kind of bring them back in maybe. Shadows opens up and you'll see some more detail back there. Maybe a little bit. That having that audience there is it's kind of nice, right? Not too much, but it's nice. Whites, you can bring up the whites in your file, bring them all the way back down. You know, I'll give it a little pop in the whites. And now your blacks, do you want to make your blacks blacker or you want to make them less black, right? I think just where it was at right in the middle is probably fine. I don't see a need to increase that anymore. Okay.
Another
So
question.
Yeah.
Is there a way to sample, like you were just working with black, if you want an area to be 100% black when you print it, is there a way to sample just like a section and check the CMYK?
Okay. No, CMYK, we don't use CMYK.
RGB.
RGB, yeah. CMYK, you do graphics, so that's why you think CMYK, right?
No, I just use the information. I always do everything in RGB, but
Okay, yeah.
I just use the information to tell me how black my black is.
Yeah, so that's totally fine, and I can even show you another method of how to do that. You know, there's a couple ways. We could watch our histogram up here,
Okay, yeah.
right? So this histogram, everybody else, this represents your exposures and your color and your tones, okay? All the way to the left is your blacks. Your blackest black is all the way to the left. And the same goes for the right side, is your whitest whites, okay? Now you have these little arrows up here at the top. If you hover over the arrow, see how the blacks are illuminating? That's telling you where the information, where you're starting to lose information in your blacks. So technically, I don't have any information where all that blue is, okay? So that's one way of doing it. You can even turn it on by clicking it so that while you're working on your file, you know exactly when you start to clip out information, okay? The other option is hold down, I don't know what it is on PC, but on a Mac, you hold down Option and I click black, and I can see now as I move the slider around when we start to lose information in the blacks. You see that? That's all lost information.
Okay.
When it's all white like this, that means that where it's white is where you've maintained detail. Okay? Where it's black is where you've lost detail. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So holding down Option, but for me, there's not a big difference even, right? I like this look better than that contrasty, like rich black, but maybe I do want to kick up the black a little bit. I can just come over here, just start to nudge my blacks to get rid of some of that detail, and there you go. Okay, so there's two options of doing that: using your histogram, or you're holding down Option and using your sliders. Now the same goes for highlights. So I hold down Option, click highlights. I have no highlights that are clipping right here. If I bring it up, I start to see where I start to clip on my highlights, let it go, and now it looks like garbage. Minus, not 16, minus 0.16. Okay. No. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, that's sort of getting a little more advanced. I just want you to use your color and your exposure to try to get your images to where you like them to be. Okay, we'll get into more sort of fine details of working in Lightroom next week, but this is sort of where I would want your file to be at. Okay, I'm actually going to kick up the exposure just a little bit. It's getting a little dull, just like that. Okay, so let's say we've reached the point where we're comfortable with our image and we want to turn it in. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to come over here to library, and we're essentially, remember how this works is there's the you create a digital thumbnail of your raw file when you import it into Lightroom. Remember, you're not affecting the actual file. You're sort of creating this recipe so to say, of settings that you'll then take, and it'll take the raw file, kind of combine them and generate a new file. So it's never actually, all these settings that I'm doing are not actually scraping away information to the raw file. It's just hypothetically telling us when we start to lose information in our shadows, highlights, color, all that is like a sort of a recipe. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
So when I go here to export, this export button, what I'm doing is I'm gonna tell it, I'm telling Lightroom, okay, take that develop recipe that we created, take our raw file and generate a new file. Okay, so what you do is I'm going to click export, and you'll see it says export one file, and I, just the same way as everything else, I start from the top and I work my way down. Okay, so first thing, export location. Where do we want to copy it to? You have different examples, same folder as original photo, choose folder, later use, useful for presets, blah, 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 some favorites or whatever. But what I always use is specific folder, and then I can come over here to choose, and I can choose my folder now, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I like to keep everything within one umbrella, one folder together. So I'll come here to desktop, here's my photo 10 folder. Remember I made that folder for print? I'll come in here and I'm gonna copy it into the print folder, okay? I'll hit choose, okay? And then that's fine. You don't have to worry about subfolders or add this to catalog or anything like that. The next thing I'm gonna do is drop down to file naming, okay? And now you can rename your file. So rename your file, click it, and you can give it a custom name, right? Where I can change the name right here. We can give it a custom name with our original file number. Remember 4670 plus, you know, the custom name is bracketing. So bracketing dash 4670 if I wanted. Custom name in a sequence. So now it's gonna, you know, bracketing 1 if you want it. Okay, so there's all these different sort of options. Let's give it a custom name. We'll give it a custom name and we'll call this performance, okay? Now I know this is that file. Extensions, lowercase is fine. It's not a video, so don't worry about that, but if, you know, and I would even collapse that video tab. I'll come here to file settings. Now you have, this is where this is very important, okay? You have these different options, especially those of you shooting raw. You don't want to necessarily use a JPEG right away because JPEGs are a lossy file format, which means that they lose information every time you open it and close it. It loses information. So if, say, for example, we were going to continue on working on this file through Photoshop, which is a more powerful program as far as individual file manipulation is concerned, right? Lightroom is great for what we need it in Photo 10 for, but if you wanted to move on to another program like Photoshop, you're going to want to save it as either a PSD or a TIFF. A TIFF and a PSD are essentially the same thing. PSD is a Adobe file format, so it's a Photoshop file. TIFF is sort of universal, but the thing, you're able to sort of save like paths and layers and things like that. You're able, it's a much more versatile file format, okay? But for this class, for what we're doing, we're gonna keep it as a JPEG, and you're gonna turn in JPEGs to me, okay? Then the next thing, color space. So color space, we have Adobe RGB 1998, ProPhoto RGB 1998, a display. That's my custom profile for my display. And then we have sRGB. sRGB is the smallest color space, okay? But it's gonna be fine for what we're doing in this class because again, we're not printing. If we were printing, okay, you would use Adobe RGB 1998, which is a much larger color space, which would render better color in the long run for when you're printing. But unfortunately, because we're working remotely, sRGB color space will be fine for sending these files back and forth. Okay, sRGB. Now, resize to fit. This is the last one, and this is very, very, very important. Okay. Let's do a couple versions. Let's say that I'm going to make an 11 by 14 file, but I changed my resolution to 72. Okay, 72 pixels per inch, PPI. Okay, so some of you, when you get to here, it's actually going to be, it's going to look like this: height and width. Okay, what you want to do, you know, if you have height and width and you see that it's at 14 inches tall by 3 inches wide, that's a really weird aspect ratio, right? That's strange. What I always change it to is long edge. So I always just want to deal with the long edge. Can somebody tell me which is the long edge on this file? Is it the vertical or the horizontal side?
The horizontal side.
The horizontal side, because it's a horizontal image, right? From left to right is going to be 14 inches, not from top to bottom, but left to right. If the file was a vertical file, a portrait orientation, then it would be 14 inches top to bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do one as resolution at 72 dpi, and I'm going to actually come back over here, and I'm just going to name it performance _ low res.
I have a
Okay.
question. Would you still do that if you had like multiple images that were some vertical and others?
Yeah.
So it's still long edge?
Yeah. I mean, I would. Yeah, I would. It sort of depends. I mean, if you want, you can even go by like resolution. I'm sorry, megapixels. Like if you have a specific megapixel in mind at a certain resolution, you can do it that way. But yeah, I would. I always leave it at long edge. If they're bigger, then that's fine. You know, if it ends up being bigger, that's fine for me, as long as they're not smaller, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good question, though. Is there another question?
Yeah. If you did like height and width, couldn't you actually crop your image or
Yeah,
distort it somehow? So that's why
exactly.
doing one edge is better than doing both edges.
Well, if you do both height and width, you know, that what's good about height and width is that you could if you have like an 8x10 frame and you want your file to be 8x10, exactly, you could use height and width. But I would say at that point, oh, I forgot to go over this, but crop it. I would crop it to 8x10. I wouldn't use height and width in Lightroom to determine what my crop is, right? I would want to control that crop. So I can't even remember ever using height and width. Okay, I've only used basically long edge. And a couple times I've used megapixels. Otherwise, those are the only ones that I've ever used. You could do dimensions, which is, you know, a sort of aspect ratio, but I wouldn't worry about that. I would just do long edge. You know, for this class, just use long edge, 14 inches, 72 dpi. Now, I wanted to show you all the difference. So this is a low resolution file. So I'm going to hit, at this point, there's more options here at the bottom, but we don't really need to worry about those for this class, okay? So image sizing will be the last thing. I hit export, and I exported my file. Now, I'm going to, again, it didn't affect my original raw file. So I come over here, there's my low res, there's my file named low res, and I'm going to just come back here, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to export it again, and I'm just going to change the resolution from 72 to 300 ppi. Okay, and I'm going to change low res to high res, and I'm going to export that. Same folder, all the settings, by the way, all your settings are what we call sticky. They stick from the last time that you use them. Okay, so I don't need to go back over all this stuff because I know that it's already going to stay the same. I just changed the two things that I needed to change. Hit export, it's exporting, there it is. Okay, so now the reason I did that is I want to show you all, this is the last thing I wanted to show you all, okay? I can't see. So here's our performance low res. Okay, does everybody see that? This is the 72 DPI file.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then here's the 300 DPI file. Can you see the difference in quality?
Yes.
Yeah, let's zoom in.
Can you do it again?
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
You
do it
can
again.
make
Hold on.
out what's on the paper a lot clearer, that's for sure.
So low res, look at the pixelation, high res. And trust me, this could be much more high res. It's just that we're already working with JPEGs, you know, from the get-go. Tomasa, do you see the difference?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. So that's why it's important that you make sure that your resolution is right. Okay. That's why it's got to be right. Now, let me see real quick. Let me see what the file size ends up being when we work in that regard. So photo 10, photo 10. So 14 inches high res. Oh, because it's JPEG. So yeah, it's good. The what's the word? The compression is compression is there, so it compressed it into a smaller file. So it'll be good. So 300 DPI by 14 inches on the long side. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can talk to my squares. So that's how you create a file. Now, what I would want you to do from that point is take that high res file, performance, whatever, / high res, and that's what you're gonna submit to me or submit to online to the discussions page. We'll see. It might not display the file if it's a high res file. So if we have to adjust, if we have to make lower res files in order to display in discussions, we'll do that. But for now, let's keep it the high res 14 inches sRGB, and that's what you'll turn in. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some questions. Is there any questions?
Are we putting in a photo with our contact?
Let's you know, I don't want to overwhelm you all, so let's just get the contact sheet done. Okay.
Okay.
And then maybe next class we'll work on the I'll look at your contact sheets after you submit them, and then next week we'll kind of discuss which photos to work on, and we'll work on it. You know, I don't know how to do this sort of format because normally what I would do is you all would start working right now on your files, and I would walk around and look at your files as you're working. But that's sort of not. I don't think that's possible, like in this format. That's why I give you to the end of the weekend. So hopefully by the end of the weekend, you're able to figure out how to do contact sheets, and you can refer back to this video if you need help with that. And then there's going to be one other sort of assignment to start thinking about. So, you know, I'm kind of stacking it up on you all, but it should be relatively simple.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, like I said, if I were you, well, I'm here until 2:30. Literally, I have my email open. If you need help, email me. We'll hop back on Zoom. You can share your screen, and I can walk you through it. Okay. So I would really try to get this done, get the contact sheet done and turned in. That way you have, you know, you have another homework assignment to start thinking about. And I'll post that in a second. Do you all want me to kind of explain the next homework assignment?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I figure that's probably best, right? Hold on real quick. All right, so the next homework assignment is, you know, I've titled it Relationships. Let me ask you guys this. Is there anybody that's, you know, myself, I'm quarantined in my studio apartment by myself. Is anybody in the similar boat, or are you quarantined with people?
Quarantine with people.
Okay.
With people. And you
With
good?
people.
Are you good?
Am I good?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
I mean, my parents are nearby, so like I'll go stop and see them or whatever, and take my mom shopping or whatever. So I'm not that isolated, but yeah, yeah, I'm good. Thanks, dude. Anybody else? Everybody else, I'm assuming have got people that they're quarantined with or sheltering with. Okay, so so you all have somebody that you can shoot a photo of, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's sort of the idea. Who turned in a photo to me? Oh, Thomas. Thomas turned in a, yeah, that was your kid, right? Thomas. Okay. So
I'm here. Sorry.
okay. Yeah, you're good. That was your kid?
Yeah, it's my kid.
Okay, cool. So for this assignment, and I'm just gonna read you what I've got written so far. I gotta proofread it real quick before I send it out to you guys. But for this assignment, you'll be making images of a person in your household that you're sheltering with. You'll explore the dynamics of your relationship through the use of your camera. The final image that you turn in will reveal to your viewer some aspect of your relationship with this person. So procedure, you will shoot a minimum of 36 exposures for this assignment. After viewing your contact sheets, you will turn in one image for critique. Please include examples of the following in your images. And then in parentheses, I write, you do not need every one of these guides in every photo, okay? Meaning, you remember, like we went through like all those different like design elements, and it was like sort of impossible to include all of the design elements in one photo. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So here,
Yes.
let me explain what I mean. So I have a list of bullet points, and I want you to shoot example. I want you to shoot this person in all these different methods that I have listed. Okay. So one will be a vertical portrait. Okay. One will be a horizontal portrait, and I want you to keep in mind the rule of thirds when you're shooting the horizontal portrait. Okay. One, I want you to shoot a mirror, the reflection of this person, whether it be a mirror or reflection in water or whatever. I want a reflection of this person. I want an action shot of this person doing something. And then I want a dramatic light portrait of this person. You all shot some pretty sweet examples of different lighting in your house, within your household. So find a way to shoot dramatic light with this person. Okay. So obviously, like, you can't shoot a vertical portrait and a horizontal portrait in one frame, right? That doesn't make sense. So, you know, maybe a vertical portrait, maybe your vertical portrait has dramatic light in it, and maybe your horizontal portrait has an action shot, or so on and so forth. Okay, I just want you to keep these guides in mind while you're shooting. Okay, that you need to hit one of these 5 things in your 36 exposures. I want all of them within your 36 exposures. Okay. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining myself right.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So then you'll turn in a contact sheet to me by the 25th, which is next week, and then we will work on the image next week, along with working on one of these light. And do you all want to just work on the your file for your light assignment, your alternative lighting assignment? Do you want to work on that throughout the week and turn that into me so we can just focus on this next week?
Yeah,
Or
we
do
can
you
do
want
that.
time next week?
So you're saying, do we want to do one or the other?
No. So I need you to work on your light, your alternative. What I would like for you to do is turn in your alternative, the contact sheet for your alternative light by Sunday. Okay. And then by next class, maybe I'll give you all some time in the beginning to we'll discuss your contact sheets. We'll break out into the breakout rooms. Have you all done that yet in Zoom?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, let's. I'm gonna try it with you all right now while we're on here. But essentially, we'll break off into a group, just you and me, and we'll discuss your contact sheet, and then you'll go back and work on your file, and then I'll give us a time to sort of reconvene here, and you'll turn in your file for your alternative lighting, and then I'll go through some more demo next week, just taking it a little bit further, and then we'll start to work on our relationship files, which is contact sheet is due on the 25th. Is that next week? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know that I'm being clear, but okay. Definitely email me if it doesn't make sense. But your contact sheet for the alternative light is due. The contact sheet for alternative light is due next by Sunday night. Okay. And I have a time limit on there, so it's not going to even accept it if you try to turn it in late. Okay, this is a class assignment. This should be done in class right now. Okay, and obviously if you need more time or whatever, just let me know. I'm not trying to be a hard ass about it, but I just want to make sure that we're pressing on to other stuff and not spending too much time on that. Okay, so
Okay.
contact sheet is due. You're gonna have to shoot this assignment within the next week, so that you have a contact sheet to turn into me, another contact sheet to turn into me by Saturday of next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay. And then the last thing is, there is a video that I really want you all to watch. Do you want to just watch it now
Yeah.
while we're all here? It's not that long, and it's this Mexican photographer. Her name is Graciela Iturbide, and she's one of the most incredible photographers to ever hold a camera, in my opinion. And she's her image, her work is just so poetic and just like gripping. I feel like, I really like her work, like even more than anybody that I've shown you all so far. It's always been very inspiring to me. And she's a woman, and she's not a white man in America. She's a Mexican woman, and just one of the most incredible photographers ever. But she, I found this like PBS thing. It's only like 4 or 5 minutes, but she talks about shooting her family, her grandchildren specifically, and then her sons are sort of interviewed and stuff. And I was like, I had never seen this until I was looking for something to show you all in this class. And I was just like, oh man, this is perfect for the assignment that you all are going to be working on. Okay. So just, let's just watch it and then we can talk about it after. That way you don't have to watch it later. But I
Okay.
will make it available for you all. It's already available. I have it under pages. It's called investigation. Because what you're essentially doing for this assignment, you're investigating the relationship dynamic using your camera. Okay. So give me 1 second here. Oh, I think I have to take my AirPods off.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, tell me if you can't hear it.
Hola, Cami. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué dices?
I photograph my grandchildren all the time. Everybody has a photo album.
¿En qué nos quedamos?
The interesting thing about her work is that it always reinvents itself. It's a work that has a huge opportunity to not repeat, to not generate a style, but more importantly, to search for or be an example for what human beings can do with their lives.
Lo que un ser humano tiene que hacer en su vida, reinventarse todo el tiempo. ¿Quiénes? Mis primas. Ah, son tus primas, ya te pusiste, ¿no? Mis primas.
I am a composer and an interdisciplinary artist, thanks to my mother, of course, also to my father, but mainly the rebel part I got it from my mother.
Dile, pues qué raro, pues ya estás pelón.
¿Y esto qué? ¿Y esto qué?
Ah, estos, ¿ves?
Also, my neurosis, I got it from my mother too.
I studied architecture thinking that afterwards I would be dedicated to making movies, a master's degree in film. or that I would start taking photos. And when I finished my degree, sure that I would change paths or go to another place, it was my mother who asked me to design her house. That's the house that we're in. The important thing is not the architecture, it's the investigation one has. And that I learned as much from my mother as my father, via my mother from Alvarez Bravo. Architecture is a tool. The important thing is investigation.
Lo hice como ajedrez, y aquí le hice como unos detallitos, y aquí mi guacamaya, y aquí unos detallitos, los mismos detallitos que están aquí, mi guacamaya, aquí un detallito, y aquí mi firma.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I would highly suggest that you all maybe I'll try to find some more videos of hers and I'll add it to that same page. But I mean, her photography is just insane. It's so beautiful. So yeah. So anyways, you know, that's kind of what I'm looking for from you all as far as this next week is concerned, for when you're shooting your assignment. Okay. Any questions? All right. Well, definitely refer to Canvas if you have questions. I'm like I said, I'm here until 2:30. It's 11:40 now, so email me. I get your contact sheet done so that you just kind of figure it out, get it out of the way, and you can move on to shooting your assignment. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions?
I figured it out, Professor, for the thing.
Oh, great. Yeah, I figured you would be able to. Cool. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. All right. Well, have a great week. Thomas, stick around so we can talk, and Paulina, stick around so we can talk.
Oh, Professor, I just had one question.
Sure.
All the photos I put on are like black and white. I did them kind of like classic. Do they have to be with color for this assignment?
No.
No? Okay.
I want you to just make your work. Be creative. If you feel like black and white is working for you right now, yes, for sure. There will be a color assignment eventually. But yeah, work however you like. I just want you shooting.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, the rest of you, get out of here. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Submit that contact sheet to me.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Jeffrey, did you have a question?
Oh no, I was just making my contact sheet, so I already submitted.
Okay. I mean, you can stick around. I'm gonna try this breakout room thing. So if you want to hang out, just go for it. Let's see. Assign 3 participants into 2 rooms. Let's do 3 participants into 3 rooms manually. So Paulina, join your breakout room. Okay, perfect. And then Jeffrey, join your breakout room real quick.